All right. Hi there. Rio here. It is week 17 classwork, your last classwork, or not, I was going to say your last item, but actually there's a final due after this. And this is the last item I have to release for you to have all the work you need to do to complete this class. And I say that because there are a handful of you who have reached out and already will have ended this class in the next week. And how I'm referencing that is I'm actually recording this in week 15. So and that's honestly really okay with me because the way I set up my class, I want to give you as much flexibility to get through it as possible. And one of the ways I do that is release content ahead of time, and in this case, release that so that you can complete everything you need. So in this last video, I want to go over some topics that I've covered before, for clarification, because end of semester is always an important time to clarify the way the process ends, because the end of a semester is, it's final, right? Once it's done, it's done. And so make sure you're ending in the way that you want to. But let me just say this before we get into the topics, right? So once you've finished all the items in this class, once you've completed all the work for this class, then that grade in Canvas represents your grade in the course. Now what will happen is if you haven't completed all the items and I come to the day after the finals due, which in this case is the Thursday, May 17th, if you haven't completed something, I will put a 0 in there. Now you can know on your side by the what if scenario, which we've talked about in Canvas, that you can actually go through and put a grade for those items so that you know how that impacts your score, okay? So just to be clear, I want you to know that once all the items have been completed, which you can do anytime between now and May 17th, then once all those items are done and graded, then that represents your course grade. Okay? So I just don't want any surprises for you when it comes to that date, because at that point it's basically too late to handle any other work that you might have wanted to redo or apply, submit it late and get those points back. All right, so let's go ahead and go into the actual first item. So I want you to go ahead and open your classwork now. And I want you, and I'll have you do this in a second, I want you to pause here in a second, and I want you to go all the way from the bottom, go all the way to week 1, and scroll through and look at the work that we've done through these 17 weeks. And I want you to spend a moment of reflection to think about, this content and maybe what's going to stand out for you, what you feel like you really will walk away with understanding, or what you feel you really learned out of this. So just after the pause, or after this in your notes, I want to see a paragraph about that, about classwork. Now classwork was but one aspect of the work that we had here, and if you want to give general course feedback, that's fine as well, as long as I see something of a reflection of the course content here is really what I'm looking for. So I'll go ahead and say hit pause. Okay, so hopefully you're back now. So lot of work, lot of amazing work went into this class, and I hope you found it valuable, because when teaching computer technology right now, we must be constantly refining our content, adding new, because it is changing so much for me not to spend a bit of time every semester as it ends and before the next one begins reflecting on how would I modify this content, what do I feel worked well, what do I feel like I need to put in for next semester. And part of it is I won't know as we get closer to next semester, but your feedback is one of the things that I really value, because student experience is very important to me. I spend a bit of time, as you can see, organizing this course to give you as much flexibility as I can. The students in the classroom heard about this in week 1, to where basically I said, attendance is really your choice. All the content is out there for you to do. And if you were taking this online, you heard from me every week to try to keep in touch with you to make sure that you were staying on focus in the course material, right? So anyway, that's that point. So reviewing classwork. So now let's talk about this thing that I was referring to today, which was the end of the semester dates, which I've gone over, but now I'm going to actually go over it one last time just to be clear. So as I move over into here, right, so I'm releasing the week 17 classwork today, and then the final is here at midnight. And then review day here, and again, this is all work will have to be completed by midnight here or before I wake up on the 17th. And these 2 days, so this is week 18, the final week of the semester. And just to say this, if you hadn't heard me say it, I'm going to be gone at Google. I will be at Google the 4th through the 11th. So this last week of the semester, I will not physically be on campus, but I will still be grading work as normal, answering questions as they come in, and checking on class chat as time allows. So, but do know that I'm not physically on campus from the 4th until, actually I think the following right here. So if you need to see me before then, make sure you're coming and checking with me that week before, or seeing me on week 18. So it's week 16 or 18. So then on week 18, right, hopefully you know the end of the semester, how it works is, this might be more for the students in class, but I want everyone to know that on Monday and Tuesday, so Monday is an office hour at noon, and then on Tuesday I'm going to hold an open lab from 11 to 12:50, my normal class time in BE 127. So that's a great time to come talk to me if you have any questions. You want to talk to me face to face, that's a great time to talk to me. So in your notes, make sure you put on May 15th, I will have an open lab in BE 127 from 11 to 12:50. And then on the 16th, I have a night class that night. So I will be on campus starting around 5, and I will be here until around 9 p.m. at night. So that's another time you could come talk to me if you needed to chat with me about anything, to make sure you were clear how everything works. But hopefully by that time you're in a fine position to end this class where you want. And then on the 17th is the review day. That's where I wake up in the morning. You have, I grade anything that's complete. You can no longer work on the class. And then you have 24 hours to ask me questions about the class. And then I wake up Friday morning the 18th. I download all the grades out of Canvas, and I report them into WebAdvisor. I don't think you see them for a couple weeks, but that's how that last week will go. And by the way, I will be at graduation on the 18th, so if you're graduating, please, hopefully I could say hi to you. If you're there, I will be marching with faculty that night. Okay, so hopefully that clarifies any remaining questions that you have. Do know that if you're doing late work, it would need to have been submitted before midnight, and then again I will grade that the next morning. And if you want to apply any late points, that would be the last point to do that as well. Okay. Okay, so hopefully that's cleared up anything that you had about that. So now, next semester, I've been talking about this, but now let me be a little even more clear, is that next semester I'm teaching JavaScript online, and I'm teaching, which is CIT 93. So both of these courses, 93 and 82, are online. Now 82 is a 9-week compressed class. It covers 18 weeks of content, 3 units, and it covers just more concepts around web development, understanding web technologies. So if you like some of the stuff you were introduced to here, that would be I think a helpful course to continue, because as you hopefully can see, the web is going to affect every aspect of our lives, both personally, professionally, and as a nation. So the more you know about it, you'll never, I think you'll never regret knowing more about it, is my point about that one. But 93, the JavaScript course, that class is really for students who are thinking maybe they want to go into web development as a career, or they enjoy JavaScript enough to where they're like, yeah, I'd like to learn more about this. And it is the programming language of the web, but it's also now moving to all aspects of the web and devices. And there's just JavaScript. What the term right now is JavaScript's eating the world, because it can be used at so many levels of need. So it's a great time to learn it. And I really work hard to make that a enjoyable class. But I think everyone should learn a little programming, as you see, based on this class. So look for those in the schedule. If you're interested, come talk to me. If you're interested, if you want to talk any more about the web development career path. Okay? So, different topic here, so switching gears a little bit. So hopefully what I'd like to, not hopefully, what I want to see in your notes here is each of these as a bullet point and at least some few things that you got from the discussion. So there's something happening in Europe on May 28th that is going to affect everyone, and it's basically it's a privacy rights. And what's going to happen here, and what I want you to do really more than anything, I want you to go over to YouTube and I want you to put GDPR. I want you to watch, select which video you want to watch, and I want you to at least have an understanding of what GDPR is. So underneath here, what I want you to do is just give me, what is your understanding of what GDPR is, because I can tell you it's going to impact us. And you might wonder, well, why? Because we're not in Europe, and the answer is because we've had some of the same issues here, and a lot of the products are now global, like Facebook, Google, Amazon. And so what happens in these large countries, right, that impacts us too, because these larger companies have to take that into consideration into their products. So we may not see it immediately, but I believe we will. So make sure under this one you do a little research. Yeah, like I said, what is it? So the other thing is that if you were enjoying the programming part of our class but don't necessarily want to take it in a class, or if you have young people in your life that you think would benefit from this, there's a new program, and it's a mobile program. It's called Grasshopper, and I've been playing with it, and it's really fun. So it's just search for Grasshopper, and it's a way to learn coding on a mobile device. I've actually been considering using this instead of Codecademy, possibly. We'll see. I'm still working at it and see how it works, and I believe it is on iPhone and Android. You'll have to check that out. I don't use an iPhone, so I can't tell you for sure. But Grasshopper is just another way that we are providing more and more education around coding. And I think it's a nice way because, as you all experience, I suspect, as I do, right, how much time we spend on these devices. So check that out. The other thing is, speaking of the phone, right, I recently went and saw a new eye doctor and was talking. He's having quite an extensive conversation with me about the impacts of screens on our lives. And he convinced me to do something that I did. And I actually would recommend you all do it, because there's been various studies talking about the impacts of this screen on our eyes. And so what he recommended to me, and he recommended I tell everyone I know, so this is my way of doing it because I believe it, is to find the night setting on your device, and actually not just turn it on at night, but turn it on all the time. And when I first did it, I definitely noticed a difference in my screen, but now I've adjusted to it. And there's the one nice side effect here is that he says it's much more gentle on your eyes because screens are so bright, especially, by the way, hopefully you've heard this, but laying in bed at night and with your phone, it's not a great idea, because that light has a tendency to keep your brain awake, and it can make sleeping hard, or it can affect your sleep. So doing night mode should have a less impact of that, but then if you can adjust to having it on night mode all the time. Anytime you're looking at your screen, it should be easier for your eyes. In addition, on at least Android, I've also been doing this other thing called Eye Care Plus. And this is actually something I do 3 times a day, and it helps your eyes. It's basically exercises for your eyes. And it's been really helpful as well. So, our eyes are a really important part of our experience of the world. And I think sometimes we don't take care of them like we do other parts of our body because we don't think about it. So, that's just my way of giving you that information. Okay, so I should have put this towards when I was talking about the dates, but now and this is just an FYI. What happens is after the semester is over, I leave class chat because I can't really delete it. I found out unless Google has changed this recently, I just leave it. So what you can do is anytime during now and the end of the semester, if you want, you can also leave. Just go in, right click into the gear, and then you can say leave chat. So if you do that and you want to come back before the end of the semester, you can always go back up to that week 0 to look at getting back in. But I will leave it the week after, so the week after finals. Sometimes during that week, I will typically leave class chat, and you can as well. If you don't, just know there may be other students in there, and at that point, I'm not mediating the discussion. Just FYI. So this is kind of the last thing, and I was looking at my comments on Rate Your Professor today, and they were really heartening. It really feels like students have had a good experience in my class. So, if you feel motivated to put your experience in there, thank you very much. If you don't, that's fine as well. It doesn't impact your grade one way or the other, because obviously I don't know if you did. But I think it is important if you are someone that uses Rate Your Professor for looking for classes, that you then be willing to contribute for all of the classes that you have, so students have another input into creating a schedule and faculty selection that would be most beneficial to them. And I would say don't let Rate Your Professor be your only signal for how you choose classes, but let it be maybe one of the things that you take into consideration. And I think that was it. Yeah, that's it. So, thank you very much. If I didn't say it before, which I believe I did, right? So thank you, because without you, I wouldn't have this fabulous job. And I love this job. I love what I get to do. I love creating content. I love being in the classroom. And this semester, we've found some even, I think, other ways to make that a little more engaging, of which I will continue in the future. And what I basically mean by that is, if you hadn't noticed, students that were in the classroom, we had a discussion on Thursday of 20 minutes, and in lieu of them doing the replies to the hands-on, that was their way of getting those points for that. So that was always an enjoyable experience as well. But I also enjoy looking at your comments. I do generally scan all comments for hands-on classwork or whatever they are, just so I get a sense for what that is. But I just want you to know I'm really grateful for the job that I have, and I try to honor the responsibility that has been placed in me. Because I feel it. I feel that sense of responsibility and passion, honestly, about this subject matter and just about teaching in general. So, enough. Have a great summer. Always stop by and see me. I'm in my office, BE113, if you're around. Stop by and say hi. I'm not always here, but if you want, that'd be great to say hi to you. Now I'm going to say bye to you.